All right, howdy guys. Welcome to week 9 of the It's About Us YouTube podcast series. Alongside Richard Zane, Mitch Mason here with you. Going to go ahead and dive into the recap of what was a very disappointing week for Aggie fans, although I can't say it wasn't expected.
Dude, I had an even worse week than most Aggie fans.
That's true. With your Dodgers losing, with the Aggies losing.
Saturday was a sad day.
Yeah.
Honestly, did October 22nd, 2016 even happen for Richard Zane? Let's be real.
Well, I mean, you were at a Taylor Swift concert, so it definitely
was
happened.
lit.
It definitely happened.
Okay,
for
let's
you.
be real. Shake It Off is a terrible song on the radio, but that is a bop live in concert. She played that one when she walked off stage, and dude, there were fireworks and like all over the place and like screaming girl. It was a good time. Mm-hmm. I will quote Clayton Kershaw, who once said, "If you're a dude and you think you're too cool to like Taylor Swift, you just need to get over yourself because everybody loves her. You're just lying to yourself. She's pretty good."
Well, I'm sure the 12-year-old girl standing next to you would agree.
My sister's 14, not
close enough. Anyway,
15. I don't know. I think she's 15.
A&M lost to Alabama last week, 33-14. I think the game was a little bit closer than the score would indicate. Bama pulled away in the fourth quarter because they're bigger, faster, stronger than everyone else in the country.
I wouldn't even say that. I think the Aggies made a really costly mistake.
They did.
And that just...
They did. Sean Washington made a dumb mistake hitting Jalen Hurts in the face mask.
Oh, 2 mistakes right in a row.
And then, what was
the fumble return for a touchdown?
Oh, yeah, and then Keith Ford...
Those on back-to-back...
Dropping the ball.
Back-to-back... alternating possessions really killed us.
Yeah, no, it
14-point swing.
Right there. Stopped the.
Stopped all momentum we had.
It might have been a 21-point swing.
We gave up. Yeah, ended up giving up a touchdown on what would have been a stop.
Right,
and then
you're 7, right. And then we it's 21.
It was ugly.
Yeah. Anyway, A&M loses. We dropped to 9 in the polls. Not a terrible drop. There's a lot of people still talking about A&M being in the hunt for that last playoff spot. We really didn't. I mean, like you said, we gave up a couple really bad mistakes, and I think we just ran out of gas. You looked at the way that our defensive line was being handled by Bama's offensive line at the end of the game.
How our offensive line got
handled. Yeah, how their defensive pass rush got to Trevor Knight.
Some of those pictures on Twitter.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Colton Prater just had an abysmal game.
He really
Poor
did,
guy.
Which sucks because one of my friends knows him, so I have to be nice when I'm talking about him. But
he seems like a good guy. He just had a bad game.
He did. He just had a bad game, and this one he looks like a freshman.
It's hard for a true freshman to go into Alabama and face that many NFL prospects.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like there's probably 8 people on Bama's roster right now that could be taken in the first or the second round.
I saw that.
It's truly disturbing.
Bottom line is they're the best team in college football, and they definitely showed it this past week.
Yeah, no, they're my pick to win the national championship for sure.
Texas A&M
excluding A&M doesn't make it into the playoff. I'll pick Bama. But
my battered Aggie syndrome's already off the chart. We're probably going to lose 2 more that we shouldn't lose because that's how it goes every year.
But not this week, but we'll get into that a little later. Other news from last week, Ohio State laid an egg at Happy Valley. Really, really excited about that.
Oh my goodness. Urban Meyer, up yours, big man.
You're
such a jerk.
I really thought Penn State was going to get destroyed. They haven't looked good under James Franklin since he's been there. They haven't really looked good this year. They were a terribly weak 4-2 team coming in, and then
they're like a 20-point underdog too.
They figured it out. I thought they were going to get destroyed, and
Ohio State played bad, and Penn State played good.
Yeah,
I like it.
That special teams block there at the end really helped.
It was great.
Arkansas didn't.
But, okay, hold on. How do they only drop to 6?
Oh,
they lose to an unranked Penn State team, and they only drop to 6. Meanwhile, we lose to the number 1 team in the country, and we've experienced the same drop as they do. Well, how does that happen?
Ohio State's Ohio State. That's all I can really guess right now.
We're better than them. Let's play, Urban Meyer. Bring your guy. Let's go to a neutral site.
I don't know that we are better than them.
No, let's do it, Mitch.
But maybe it's a playoff matchup. You never know.
I don't know if I'm battered Aggie syndrome right now or still really confident about
my team. Have weird mood swings. You have battered Aggie syndrome and you have we're going to win the national championship.
I think we could beat everybody besides Alabama.
I mean, maybe we'll get a chance to see.
Except Western Michigan. They're going to run the table.
Yeah, what? they're out of nowhere, but nobody really cares about them. So we'll go ahead and move on.
They're better than Michigan State.
Arkansas did not show up against Auburn last week. A 56-3 drubbing of the Hogs. Nobody was calling the Hogs home last week. They wanted them to stay out. But like you were talking about before the show, I'm just really, really glad that we played Auburn before they decided to figure out how to play football.
They look really good.
They do.
Look really good.
It's kind of scary.
They've looked really good the last couple weeks, and I think Ole Miss is trending in the wrong direction. They're trending in the right direction.
I'm so happy
I think they're
going
to be. Oh, dude, I love that Ole Miss sucks. But I think Auburn trending in the right direction. They're going to get through Ole Miss this week, I think, and then who knows? The Iron Bowl is always a crazy game. It is. Auburn's starting to put the pieces of the puzzle together. They're starting to look good going into the right time of the year.
Would it be better for A&M if Auburn upset Alabama, or would it be worse?
It'd be like a 3-way tie, and then there would be you'd have to go down to number 11 on the list of tiebreakers.
Yeah, seriously.
Because we're all in the same division, and it's really strange.
Yeah.
So we just need Alabama to lose 2 games. And one of them beat Auburn.
Possible, I guess.
We'll see. Maybe. Probably not.
LSU defended their home turf last week against Ole Miss. Man, Ole Miss has just... The wheels have fallen off that program
It's like you said before we started. They deserve it.
Yeah, I mean...
They deserve it.
All the probing into their academics 12th. And taking into... That's my birthday, by the way.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, anyway, Ole Miss, I don't like their program. I just don't think they do it right. They have a lot of investigations, or they had a lot of investigations going on. Everyone knows they're guilty for...
They gave themselves a self-imposed bowl ban last week.
Well...
I think they picked the right year to do that, because they're not going to be anything.
Yeah, no, they suck this year.
We might go to we play in the Tax Slayer Bowl? The Music City Bowl? They could go to the Music City Bowl. That's an SEC bid.
Yeah, it is.
What else? The Liberty Bowl? I'd like to see them go... Well, they're not going to any bowls, but these are the big cities they're cutting out.
The lower...
Shreveport and Nashville.
Poor Shreveport.
And the Belk Bowl. They could go to Charlottesville.
I think a lot of people think Georgia is going to be in the Belk Bowl. Isn't that... Where is the Belk Bowl played?
The same stadium the Panthers play in. Is that Charlottesville?
Oh, yeah, Charlottesville. Anyway, maybe Georgia fans will get to go do that. That about does it for the recap. Let's go ahead and dive into this week's games, which there are a few on the slate as far as national title hopes go, I guess. Washington, number 4, is in Salt Lake City playing the number 17 ranked Utes. I think Washington rolls in here with a lot of confidence. What's their quarterback's name? Is it
Jake Browning?
Jake Browning. I was like Jack, John. Jake Browning is...
You're close.
Currently second in the Heisman race behind Lamar Jackson. Good luck catching him, but it is worth noting.
He's really Jake Browning's really unknown. I don't really think that many people could tell you who the quarterback at UW is right now.
I didn't even know his first name.
He's had a really good year.
Yeah.
He's had a really good year.
Yeah, he has.
And if he can beat the Utes on the road, I mean, one, that's going to pretty much solidify a playoff bid for Browning and the Huskies, but he could really get into some talks about going to New York with Mr. Jackson and the likes of him and Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I think right now he has a very, very clear path to at least get to New York, and I think Washington, yeah, like you said, as long as they take care of business here, I don't really think they have anybody else on the schedule of note other than the Pac-12 championship game. But
who are they going to play? Somebody out of the South?
Yeah,
so USC,
Colorado,
UCLA.
maybe.
Yeah, they're not good.
Yeah, so I think Washington wins the Pac-12 at this point
Pac-12,
rather easily.
If you're a conference and you have the number 12 in your name, chances are you're a dumpster fire.
It's very true.
Bold statement, but it's probably true.
It's very true. Oh, did you see the Big 12 is not going to split into conferences again?
What's the point? If you're just going to have the 1 and 2 teams playing a championship game, why not give the one team the conference championship?
Yeah, that's kind of dumb. Anyway,
dumpster fire.
Big 10 matchup involving number 7 Nebraska, number 11 Wisconsin. The Badgers have 2 losses. Their playoff hopes look to be dashed at this point, but I mean, who knows? Maybe if they can run the rest of the table, somehow win the Big Ten championship. I don't know how that would happen, but they've got to get through Nebraska this week. Nebraska behind Tommy Armstrong Jr., the passing leader in Nebraska history, leads the Cornhuskers on the road. Who do you have this week?
I got Wisconsin, big time. I think Nebraska's done absolutely nothing to earn their top 10 ranking. Them and Baylor are the most untested teams in the country. I think Nebraska's going to walk into Camp Randall Stadium and just get shellacked by a team that, Wisconsin's a 2-loss team, but their 2 losses are to Michigan and Ohio State.
Yeah, quality
and
losses.
Both of them were like 1-touchdown games.
Yeah.
So the Badgers can hang with pretty much everybody in the country, and I don't really think that Nebraska has shown that they're that good.
Yeah.
I think the Huskers are going to get beat, and I like that.
Yeah, I'm going to pick the Badgers too. Nebraska has a really good offense. I don't really know that their defense is all that great. They've given up points to teams that they really shouldn't have, like Indiana. And so I think Wisconsin's defense is probably good enough to get the job done. My big question is, can Wisconsin's offense score? They don't have a set quarterback there at Camp Randall. And so that's been their problem in their 2 losses. Against Michigan, they only scored 7 points. Against Ohio State, they scored...
I thought they scored like 17.
I don't remember how many points they scored there. Point was they didn't capitalize on some good field position. Yeah. They turned the ball over too many times against Ohio State. So we'll see what Wisconsin's offense can do, but I think the Badgers get it done this week. Number 3, Clemson travels to Florida State, who's ranked number 12. Clemson, please get a W this week.
No, we need them to lose.
But I hate Florida State.
But we need them to lose because the Aggies have to have
Who else does
so
Clemson
many teams
play?
lose. Clemson's not going to play anybody until the conference championship game.
Schedule,
and then
even
then the ACC North is trash, my dude.
Well,
we need them to lose. We need Clemson to lose this week for the Aggies to have any chance at the playoff.
Maybe I wouldn't be disappointed if Clemson lost, but I can't root for Florida State, and I'm not going to pick them. I'm going to pick Clemson because I hate Florida State.
I think Clemson's a better team, but we do need Florida State to win.
I think
Clemson's going to win, but I would not be upset if I got that wrong.
Clemson plays Florida State, Syracuse, who's actually a dangerous team, Pitt, Wake Forest, and South Carolina. So, yeah, this is their biggest. This is it.
They're a playoff team.
Dang it, NC State! Why couldn't you have done me a favor 2 weeks ago?
Just don't miss an extra point. Go.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, Clemson wins this week. I mean, if they lose, good for the Aggies, but Clemson wins this week.
Need all the help we can get.
Florida State sucks, and I'm not going to be apologetic about that. Number 14, Florida, transitioning over to the SEC, plays Georgia at the world's largest outdoor cocktail party.
I would like to go to that game. It sounds like it would be an enjoyable
A
time.
lot of alcohol, I'm betting.
I'm 19, so I cannot partake.
Well, legally anyway.
I do not partake. Mitch.
Florida comes in.
Trouble.
They finally have Luke Del Rio healthy. I think he played last week too. Florida comes in the obvious favorite here. Georgia is just way too inexperienced. They've dropped eggs against teams like Vanderbilt. I just don't think Georgia. Yeah, I just don't think Georgia has enough in the tank as far as experience goes to beat this Florida defense, especially. They have maybe the best secondary in the country, all told. So I think Florida gets it done on the road this week.
It'll be fun. It's always a rivalry game. Rivalry games. There are a couple rivalry games this week. I think Clemson, Florida State's one, just because both teams have been good recently.
Right. Can we mention Baylor and Texas because how badly Texas is going to get drubbed again this week?
I think you're wrong.
Really?
We can talk about them in a minute, but I think Florida is going to come out with a win here. But I think Drew Lock's going to play well. No, not Drew Lock. Jacob Eason. Sorry, the young quarterbacks I'm getting confused with them. I like Jacob Eason a lot.
Yeah,
he's pretty good young quarterback, and I think they're going to keep it close.
I think Locke, speaking of him, has some potential at Missouri. I know their team's a dumpster fire, but going forward, he seems to have the potential to become a good quarterback. He's made a lot of rookie mistakes, especially against bigger teams, like against LSU. He threw a couple interceptions that were just killer. But I think he's got potential going forward, so that's our little Missouri tidbit. Anyway, okay, so bonus coverage. This was not on our list, but number 8, Baylor at Texas, unranked. It's a 2:30 game on ABC. I think Baylor's just going to destroy Texas. You don't think so? Why not?
I just think neither team plays defense, right?
Right.
Neither team
plays defense.
It's the Big 12. Both teams have terrible defenses.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Texas's offense has what it takes if Shane Buechele's on and the 18-wheeler and Tyrone Swoops is just running.
I hate that. The
Hey,
18-wheeler package.
I think it's funny because his number is 18.
Well, that's why they call it that.
But it's also an 18-wheeler because you can't stop an 18-wheeler.
Well, fair enough.
It's funny.
I hate it. It's so cheesy. And it's...
Get your panties out of a wad.
3-4. That's all I have to say. They're
Anyways.
4 losses to Cal, Oklahoma State,
But look, they scored points in each and every one
Well,
of
I
those
know they
losses.
scored points, but
Except for Kansas State.
Baylor statistically has one of the best offenses in the country, even though they played
Baylor's
nobody.
offense is not that good this year. They only scored 49 points against Kansas.
Well,
They should have scored
only
100.
49.
They should have scored 100.
And you're telling me Texas only scored 41 against UTEP? They shouldn't have scored more? No? Okay. All right. I mean,
Texas sucks.
they do suck.
Baylor's going to win, but
3-4.
Baylor only opened as a 3-point favorite on the road. Did you know that?
Yeah. Oh, no, I didn't. I didn't look at the line.
Baylor's a top 10 team.
I know they're a top 10
At
team.
Texas, who's 3-4, and they only had a 3-point. They're
Point
only 3-point
is,
favorite.
I don't care how you get it done this week, Baylor. Make the Longhorns 3-5. I think, bold prediction, I think Texas not only loses to Baylor this week, I think they lose to West Virginia on the 12th on my birthday. It'll make me a very happy human. And I think they lose to TCU in their season finale against TCU on the 25th. Texas is not going to make a bowl game this year. Charlie Strong will get fired. And
I think they lose 3 out of... They could lose 4 out of their last 5.
They're not going to lose
to Tech.
They're not going to lose to Tech.
Tech's got a better offense, and it's the Big 12.
But Tech can't.
Look at how Tech hung with OU this week.
Tech couldn't stop water from running uphill. I mean, that's how bad their defense is. Like,
they're statistically the worst defense in the country.
yeah.
But Texas isn't too far off.
It's very true. Anyway.
They could easily lose 4 out of their last 5.
And that would be so awesome.
I think they're going to lose 3 out of their last 5, but I think they're going to beat Baylor this week.
Actually,
and that would make me happy.
I say that. It makes us Aggies very, very happy when Texas is back, just to be unashamedly biased real quick. Is it better for Texas to continue to wallow in their stagnation of just absolute terrible football with Charlie Strong, or would you rather see them fire Charlie Strong and take a chance on someone?
They're gonna get Tom Herman. That's pretty much almost decided.
Okay.
No matter how many times Tom Herman tells the media, no, nothing's decided. Dude, we know you're going to Texas.
Yeah,
if you don't go to Texas, I'll be shocked. You can punch me in the face.
I feel like Houston's loss to Navy kind of cemented that change in the guard. But anyway,
to
we'll
answer
see.
your question, I would love to watch Texas wallow in irrelevance and 3-7 seasons
I think the
the
funniest
rest
thing
of time. That would be great.
I think the
as
funniest
long as we get to schedule them as a week out of conference schedule.
That would be
opponent.
Awesome. Like, can we do that? Anybody?
Can we pay them money to come get their butts kicked in College Station, like we do to New Mexico State?
Like we do to lower teams,
because
FCS
they might
teams.
Be equals. At this point.
Yeah. No. I think. Yeah, I think you're right. I think Charlie Strong's gone at the end of the year. I think Tom Herman comes in.
He's such a nice guy too.
Oh well, his defense can't stop anybody.
Just couldn't find any boosters' wives to lay with.
Ooh, ouch! Shots fired. Okay, so we have we stopped with Florida and Georgia and hopped out of conference. So back into the SEC. Number 15 Auburn taking on unranked Ole Miss. That's where they deserve to be after 4 losses. They're 3-4 as well.
4 games.
They've lost 4 games.
They're gonna lose 6 games this year.
Oh, I know. They're gonna
my
barely.
God, they were a top 10 team to start the year.
Mm-hmm. Auburn looked really good against Arkansas, who has a decent defense. 56 points on Arkansas, and then they only allowed 3 points to what's a decent Arkansas offense. I don't know that Auburn rolls over the Rebels on the road. I know Ole Miss is certainly going to be angry, and maybe Chad Kelly will be a little too hot for his own good, make some mistakes.
Fight some high schoolers this week.
He probably is going to a bar tonight to punch someone in his brother's name. Anyway, Auburn wins. I don't know if it's big, but Auburn does get the job done.
I agree with you. I think Gus Malzahn's got the Tigers playing.
Yeah.
Better football of late, and I think that they're going to beat them this week.
Moving on to the final game on our slate, which is our game, the Aggies of New Mexico State versus the Aggies of Texas A&M. Your Texas A&M Aggies are ranked 9th in the country. It's a 6:30 kick on ESPNU. And
we are a 43.5-point favorite.
That's disgusting. That really is. New Mexico State, UTEP. New Mexico State comes in. They are 2-5. They've lost to UTEP, Kentucky, Troy, Idaho, and Georgia Southern. They've beaten New Mexico, which sucks for the Lobos.
They don't get to play the powerhouse in North Texas,
and they beat the Ragin' Cajuns. What's important to note,
they're in the Sun Belt.
They are in the Sun Belt. In their losses, they gave up 38 points, 62 points, 52 points, 55 points, and then they had a relatively defensive game against Georgia Southern where they only gave up 22 points.
They are the 5th worst defense in the country.
That sucks for Tech, man.
But they are not as bad as Texas Tech.
That's impressive. I don't think there's really a ton to talk about here. Tech. Oh my goodness. A&M.
No, we do need to talk about this team. Do you know why? Because this is like Connor McQueen's second and last chance to play in a game all year.
Didn't he complete? He attempted a pass against
Prairie
View. Didn't complete it, but he did attempt a pass. Yeah, I think there's a good chance we see Connor McQueen Saturday night. A&M rolls over New Mexico State. I think it's a good bounce back game just to get our confidence back after losing to Alabama. Like we said, though, I don't think we played all that bad. I think we made a couple key mistakes, and then Bama's physicality just wore us down. But I think we get our confidence back this week. Going into...
We got 2 weeks to get our confidence back because we play another FCS school in Mississippi State next week.
Yeah, Mississippi State. That's unfortunate.
State of Mississippi is just, great right now.
And what was it, 2 years ago? They were both inside the top... Was it the top 5?
Yeah, I think so. That Egg Bowl was pretty fun.
Yeah.
But they both suck now, so it's great.
But now they're both awful, and it's awesome. And
it's fun.
Anyway, okay, so we've run down our slate of games. Really quickly going to talk about the Heisman race. Has anything changed in your mind?
No, Lamar Jackson's got it wrapped up.
Yeah.
I don't really remember a Heisman race that's been this, one-sided.
Yeah.
Lamar, it's his to lose still, and he's got to have some really bad games to even come close to losing it.
Yeah, no, I agree.
He's so good. He's so much fun to watch.
Let me ask you this. Do you think Lamar Jackson has a future in the NFL?
No.
Okay.
No. Does Johnny Manziel have a future in the NFL?
No.
No. It's just a different game.
Yeah.
You got to be able to stay in the pocket and throw the ball around.
Yeah.
You get outside the pocket, you're gonna run into some really good linebackers and get your legs hurt and your head hurt. And Michael Vick's really the only dual threat quarterback that's ever had any success in the NFL. And even his success is kind of limited.
Yeah, Robert Griffin had his rookie year, and then after that it's been...
Vince Young was another one of those guys. Mm-hmm. Nothing.
He didn't have anything.
Johnny Manziel, nothing. RG, you already said RG3.
Yeah, no, I can't think of any other.
Sam Bradford wasn't a dual threat guy, though.
No, he could never run.
Last couple.
He could never run. And he's been hurt his whole career.
Poor anyway. Guy. Bummer.
Nothing's really changed as far as our playoff predictions because nothing in the top 4 has changed. And
well, that's not true. Ohio State's not in there. Has it changed?
Oh, that's true. You're right. What am I saying?
I'll take the top...
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll take the top 4 right now. I think Michigan and Alabama are definitely run away with your 1 and 2.
Washington's in the 4th spot. What am I thinking?
Washington sneaks in. Yeah, I think Washington wins this week since, honestly, Michigan's probably the only team that's still a question mark just because they have to play Ohio State.
Right.
And if they lose to Ohio State, they'll be bounced. And then I think Clemson and Washington win this week, and they might as well just go ahead and cement themselves as the 3 and 4 seeds.
Is it possible for Clemson and Louisville to play in the ACC championship?
No,
it's not. They're in the same. Yeah. So conceivably, if anybody in the top 4 were to lose right now, Louisville's 5.
Here's what's gonna happen: the only one that's gonna change is Michigan, and that would only change if Ohio State beats them, and then Ohio State would jump from 6 into the top 4, and everybody else who's in between them and right now, who is that? Is that Louisville?
Yeah, Louisville's 5.
Louisville's gonna get screwed.
Man, yeah, I think you're right. I mean, conceivably, if the NCAA didn't just love Ohio State.
Oh, the NCAA is so happy right now. They're going to have 2 national powerhouses no matter what.
Yeah.
In the playoff, and that's great for
Wouldn't
them.
that be weird if say Michigan does somehow lose, and then for whatever reason Ohio State screws up somewhere else. If the rest of the top 4 stay the same, you could see Clemson and Louisville both in the playoff. Wow, that would be weird.
Well, what you need to happen here is you need to have Clemson needs to lose.
Mm-hmm. Fine.
Michigan needs to beat Ohio State.
Uh-huh.
Well, Washington needs to lose here.
Yeah,
then,
I guess the Aggies do need Washington to lose. Although if
Clemson would move up, or Louisville would move into the top 4, and then A&M's gonna have to sneak in as a 4 seed. Somebody else. Baylor's gonna have to lose. Nebraska's gonna have to lose.
So if Washington loses right now, Louisville moves into the 4th spot.
Yes.
And then it becomes a question of who had the more quality loss. Right?
If Clemson wins. If Clemson loses this week, then Louisville would move into the 3 spot.
Right. But humor me for a second. If Clemson wins, so the top 3 teams win, Washington loses, they're bounced. And if Washington loses, I don't know that they get into the playoff because they don't really have anywhere else to prove themselves.
They're done. They're kaput. They're out of it if they lose.
So
they don't go undefeated, they're out. If any team out of the Pac-12 doesn't go undefeated, they're just done.
Right.
Sorry.
So let's say
conference sucks. You're not coming in as a 1-loss team.
Let's say the top 3 stay the same. Let's say Michigan does beat Ohio State, so that knocks Ohio State out. Then you have let's say you have A&M at 5, Louisville at 4. Does the committee let Louisville in ahead of A&M?
Yeah, because they want to see the Heisman Trophy winner in the playoff.
Okay.
Without a doubt.
Okay.
You're going to have one of those ACC schools lose.
Yeah.
For A&M to even have a shot.
Yeah.
And you
might need both of them.
You need Nebraska to lose this week. You need Baylor to lose a game, which they will because they're not very good.
No. Baylor does not run the table. There's no way.
Baylor's got a tough stretch coming up, but A&M's got a chance. A&M's alive and well in the playoff hunt, but it's a very outside shot.
Yeah, we don't control their destiny.
Exactly, they don't control the destiny. And
you talk about Baylor's stretch coming up. They play Texas this weekend, TCU next weekend, Oklahoma on the 12th, Kansas State on the 19th, Tech on the 25th, and West Virginia, who's currently a top 10 team, on the 3rd of December.
That's another. West Virginia's undefeated too, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. They are.
West Virginia could get in if they beat Baylor. Baylor gets undefeated into that game.
I think the Big 12 has the longest road of any conference to get in, but we'll see. Anyway, I think we've talked your ear off long enough, so we'll go ahead and wrap it up.
Dude, it's October. You gotta talk about baseball.
Oh, that's right.
Who do you got tonight in Game 3?
Tonight, the first 2 games were really, really entertaining.
I like the World Series, but it's sad because my team's not playing anymore.
Yeah, well, at least your team made a little bit farther than mine.
Guess how many World Series trophies we've won this year? The same number as the Minnesota Twins.
That's in the Atlanta Braves. How about that? I've got the Cubs at home tonight. I just think Wrigley's going to be rocking the first World Series game in the friendly confines in over 100 years.
You see that stat today where it's the first game. It's the first World Series game at Wrigley Field in 25,951 days.
That's a long time.
It is.
That's a really long time.
Oh my goodness.
Do you have the Cubs tonight?
I think the Cubs win tonight. I would like to see the Cubs win it all. I'd like to see them win the next 3 games. Wrap it up in 5 in front of the home crowd. But
yeah,
I don't really.
I think it does more. I honestly think it does more for the game of baseball if Cleveland wins, because Cleveland was not on anybody's radar coming into this season.
But everybody's going to be upset, and everybody's going to talk about the curse is alive.
Right. No, the problem is
365 days.
Right. I think for the game of baseball, as far as building a team, it's better if Cleveland wins because it shows that anybody really can do it. On the other hand, I think if the Cubs don't win it this year...
That's like what we saw last year with Kansas City.
With Kansas City, yeah. I think if the Cubs don't win it, all we're going to hear about, just like in the NBA and LeBron, is how the Cubs should have won it, how they got cheated, how the curse is alive, and the talk will never stop. So I think probably for my sanity, the Cubs need to win.
Unfortunately, although I'm not going to be upset.
No, I'm not upset either way.
The Cubs are going to either break a 108-year curse this year, or Tyler Naquin's going to be a fighting Texas Aggie and win a World Series.
And probably the Rookie of the Year.
Oh, he's got that locked up. Without a doubt, I think. There's just no chance anybody else in the American League wraps it up.
Yeah.
The only competition he has for rookie awards anywhere else are in the National League.
It's true.
And Corey Seager's got that bad boy wrapped.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, good for Tyler Naquin. Good for both the teams.
Yeah, he had a really good season.
I just like to see the Cubs wrap it up.
Yeah. Anything else?
The Red Wings have won 6 in a row.
Oh,
Go
boy.
hockey.
Oh, yeah.
It's hockey season because my football season and baseball season ended on Saturday. Battered Aggie syndrome. Richard is back for the sign off.
Oh man, I don't know if the Stars are going to be able to pull anything together this year. We'll see. They've got a lot of injuries. They've got a lot of injuries right now, but
they'll be all right.
Anyway, for Richard Zane, Mitch Mason, thank you so much for listening to us. Week 9's in the books. Thanks and gig 'em.
Take care and enjoy the night game at Kyle Field.